New channel alert, Richmond Made with Amaury and Nati. Looks like fresh content, but it raises a question: is this really a new story, or just another way to monetize Château de Lalande by repackaging familiar ground? If you follow the Chateau Diaries, you know the castle, Château de Lalande, its long renovation journey, its history, the daily grind, the ups and downs. Now enter Richmond Made, a new YouTube channel with Amaury and Nati. Their Instagram says they're renovating a 200-year-old farmhouse in rural France with Love Molly the Lab, so there is some distinctly new content. But viewers are noticing overlap. The similar property featured the renovation aesthetic. Even the narrative arcs seem to echo the Chateau Diaries. What seems new? They've got a focus on the farmhouse/abandoned farm property, which hasn't been as central in the Chateau Diaries. They introduce smaller renovation projects, aspects of farm life, power, water, septic, and day-to-day logistics. Those are legitimate, concrete tasks. What feels recycled/overlapping, some of the content feels very much like extensions or sidelines of the existing Lalande narrative: kitchen reveals, guest dinners, cleaning out parts of the chateau, even discussions of the same structural issues, roofs, floors, that the Chateau Diaries viewers are already familiar with, promotion of a similar aesthetic, renovation. Restoration, vintage vignettes, decorative flourishes, draws directly on what fans already love about the Chateau Diaries. It's not wrong, but the boundary between new channel doing its own thing versus using the same property, same fanbase, same narrative starts to blur. Audience perception concerns. Some forums, Reddit, Chateau fan spaces, are discussing whether Richmond Made was launched in conjunction with or leveraging the Chateau Diaries viewership. There's talk that their uploads are timed similarly or referencing the same locations so that people automatically shift from one to the other. Others are saying, what's the unique value proposition? If it's just more content out of basically the same chateau. When does it stop being exciting and start feeling like a content churn/monetization tactic? Why it feels like monetization/repackaging more than storytelling, leverage of existing fanbase. The audience that already follows the Chateau Diaries is likely to follow Amaury and Nati. That means less effort needed to build viewership, good for growth, but also means content might lean on safe/familiar scenes instead of taking creative risks. Frequent uploads of incremental work, fixing a roof, clearing an old barn, cleaning an outbuilding. These are valid projects, but when those are the main content, the dramatic arc can feel flattened. Each video might feel like we did this tiny job. Here's a hammer rather than here's something we haven't shown before. Promotional overlap/merch/shop influence. While I haven't found direct evidence of scope of merchandising in Richmond Made, yet, overlap with the Chateau's existing brand identity may allow future revenue streams from shop, tours, product drops, etc. The more content you produce centered on the place, the more touchpoints for monetization. They will have the opportunity to cash in on viewers. Narrative fatigue risk. When viewers see similar content across two or more channels, all about the same property, the novelty wears off. Smaller reveals have less impact. The emotional investment that came from the Chateau Diaries' major milestones may not translate to a new channel doing another scullery reveal or more wallstones, etc. Possible justifications/defenses. It is different work, working on an abandoned farmhouse or implementing infrastructure, power/water/septic, are laborious, less glamorous tasks that probably deserve their own spotlight. Maybe one channel didn't cover those in-depth. Desire for creative independence. Amaury and Nati may want to tell their own story, their own pace and aesthetic, rather than being part of the larger group. Richmond Made gives them space to take ownership over certain projects that maybe weren't prioritized before. Viewer demand. Many viewers of Chateau/renovation content want more behind the scenes, more slow work, more everyday renovations, even mundane things. Some enjoy the small victories more than dramatic reveals. If there's demand, producing that content is meeting an audience's hunger, multiple revenue streams are normal. In creator culture, diversification helps sustainability. Having multiple channels, projects, shops, etc. isn't inherently bad. It becomes problematic only if transparency, novelty, or authenticity are compromised, where the line might be crossing, or might cross, if Richmond Made is using footage from the Chateau Diaries without credit or obvious differentiation. That would lean toward blurred ownership of content. If the channel's uploads are mostly about look at what we did / what we bought / shop announcements rather than new historical insight, aesthetic exploration, or unique storytelling, then it starts to feel transactional. If promos / merchandise starts being the dominant outcome of each video, e.g. ending with and shop the new drop or support us by buying X, the storytelling becomes secondary. If audiences begin to complain generally of this looks like the same renovated room in a new video or we've seen this before, that's a sign of diminishing returns in this content strategy. Implications for audience, creator, community. For the audience, potential fatigue, more videos but less newness, risk of feeling like paying, with time and attention, to see repeated content. Also, expectations shift. You might subscribe to Richmond Made expecting new stories, but get more incremental updates. For the creators, Amaury and Nati risk to trust and credibility. If fans feel content is recycled, they might disengage. On the other hand, this strategy might sustain income, allow slower or more thoughtful work on big projects without pressure to hit big reveal every time. For the wider creator ecosystem, case study of how popular renovation / restoration channels sometimes spawn spin-offs with partial overlap might lead audiences to be more skeptical, more discerning about what new channel actually means. What would make Richmond Made feel more new / authentic, emphasize projects or spaces the original The Chateau Diaries hasn't deeply explored, e.g. local stories, neighbors, local artisans, history of the farm buildings, agricultural or ecological transformation, more reflection on why they made decisions, creative decisions, mistakes, budget constraints. Those human details differentiate content from just another renovation vlog. A clear branding / visual / narrative distinction, make it obvious this is Richmond Made's story, not a rehash or a spin-off, occasional collaborations or crossovers that are transparent, maybe joint video with the Chateau Diaries but with different perspective, or a fresh topic, e.g. sustainable farming, restoration ethics, heritage architecture, rather than mostly cosmetic or decorative change. Conclusion: so, is Richmond Made just another income stream built off the romance of Château de Lalande? Maybe. But it might also become a genuinely fresh voice, focusing on parts of the property, everyday work, and stories that weren't foreground before. Whether it succeeds depends on how much they lean into new narrative versus leaning on existing goodwill. If you're a fan, ask yourself, what do you want more of? Major reveals? Historical deep dives? Quiet renovation work? Because the future of Richmond Made depends less on repeating the same blueprints, and more on bringing something you haven't seen before.